I want to show you just a little bit about how this stuff gets moved around. It's all pretty heavy, and one of the nice things that's gone back 100 or more years, actually longer than that, is a rail system. And this used to be part of every butcher shop and every store, every retail grocery store in town. But they don't have this anymore because they don't deal with carcass beef. But anyway, here's the rail system. And I've got this beef broken down, and I'm going to take it out to the cutting room, and here it goes. It's just like a train on tracks. Are we still up and running? Mm-hmm. And here's the part that kind of makes you old. You got to carry this at some point. And let's see, here we are. We've got this beef loin on the saw, and we're going to cut the sirloin off from the short loin. This is where your T-bones come from. This is where your top sirloin, fillet steaks, tri-tip, they all come from. And there's a pin bone in here, and you got to kind of touch it with your knife to see where you are. Well, there's no cameras rolling, I don't do this, but come right out to the end of it, which is out here somewhere. It's not where I expect it to be. It's right there. I'm going to saw across here. What I was doing here is sawing away part of the backbone because I don't want to leave much spinal cord on here, even though it's a young beef. And this part here is a short loin. As you can see, there's a good amount of fat that you have to pull off of here just to get started. This is the kidney that's underneath all of this. This is called kidney fat. This is, back in the old days, this was pretty prized stuff because it's your purest sort of fat. It doesn't have any connective tissue in it. It's what the old timers referred to as suet. It kind of breaks off in chunks. As you can see here underneath all of this is a kidney. Not too many people eat these anymore. I'm kind of speaking out of turn. In different parts of the world they love them. Here in America it's not a real common sort of thing. Most of the time it ends up either being thrown out or it goes to the cat or the dog later on. Yeah, the old classical line in the butcher shop is the lady asks the butcher how you cook a kidney, and he just tells her you just cook the piss out of it. So there you go. All right, see, you got a beautiful T-bone there. And here we've got this thing. I think the old timers used to call it the head loin. I'm talking about old timers. Well, hell, I am one. The only people that know how to do this anymore are kind of old. I start this process of taking the bones out of it by running a knife down the backbone. And then I'm going to kind of get things defined here. I'm going to find the fillet in all of this mess of fat. And we're going to cut it loose here. This is all done in a, anymore it's mostly done in a big facility in the Midwest, and one guy does one part of this job. There'll be one guy that pulls out the fillet and another guy that does the next step. There's people that, if you read history, they talk about the assembly line being invented by, I forget who it was, Henry Ford or Samuel Colt or somebody of that sort, some old timer. But the truth was, is the inspiration was it came from a slaughterhouse where they had different people doing different jobs, you know, a specific job all day long. And that was actually the beginning of the assembly line. Was not an assembly line, but a disassembly line. And I don't do that here. I do it all. So there you go. It's a little more of a human touch here than you would find in a big slaughterhouse. And I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty here. This grass-fed heifer has got a little harder bones on it than what you'd have in a young steer, but we'll deal with that. It's the same basic technique. You want to kind of mark the bone with your knife. And then kind of push away from the bone. On this thing, I kind of got to get my finger in there and get it started. Those young guys that work in a slaughterhouse that do this all day long, this particular process, they make me look like I'm in slow motion, but I'm not young and I'm not doing just one thing, I'm doing several things. Okay, here, that piece of bone is off. Not a perfect job, but heck, I'm a butcher. By the definition of that, it's kind of a, might be an art, but it's a coarse sort of art. Suits me just fine. All right, and here we go. We've got the top sirloin section, and we've got that ubiquitous West Coast thing. The tri-tip is coming off here. Kind of hard to see it all in the midst of the fat, but we're getting there where you can see what it is. And you see why meat is so expensive when you see the amount that has to be trimmed off and thrown into the barrel. Some of this will be hamburger trim, but some of that heavier fat is just going straight into the barrel. And it's starting to look like a tri-tip. And when you're dividing the beef 4 ways, there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can, since there's only one tri-tip on each half, you could make this into steaks, and you just cut them from here, from this point over to this point. You'd have little what they call culotte steaks or bottom sirloin steaks. Or you can just leave a tri-tip by itself, and we'll figure out some other cut to trade so that nobody in this group will come up short. And I think that's what we're going to do. We'll will give somebody a brisket and replace the tri-tip, something of that sort. Brisket will be a little bit bigger, but it's supposedly a cut of lesser value.